G'day folks, and welcome to another Weekly Stewards Wrap. My name's Cody, Winnell, and I'm joined as always by HRV Chairman of Stewards Nick Murray. G'day Nick.
G'day Cody, thanks for having me again.
No, great, thanks for coming in again. So we've got a couple of items that we're going to look at this week. Before we kick it off, remember the email address, punters and industry people. Whoever wants to send emailed questions, you're more than welcome. You've got askthestewards@hrv.org.au, and if we can't get the question to the show, the stewards on Nick's panel are only too happy to sort of answer those questions via email. So it's askthestewards@hrv.org.au. Nick, the first item we'll look at is Friday night at Melton, and there was action aplenty in the 8th race, the 3-year-old pace. We saw Chris Alford making a dashing move aboard Dancing with Sierra, who initially settled back in the field, and then he took off to seemingly attack for the front, but Rockstar Angel was able to kick up and hold it out. What we might do is roll the footage here, and we'll just have a bit of a look. Rockstar Angel was able to kick up and hold it out as we see Chris take off down the back here.
Yes.
And then the leader kicks through, refuses to hand the lead, so that's Michael Bellman on the leader. And we see Chris Alford on Dancing with Sierra attack for the front. Lead's not there, so Rockstar Angel holds the front, and then eventually we're going to see Lance come around on his horse Who Are You, out 3 wide, and keeps the pace in the race. You queried Chris Alford regarding his drive. How did you see this race playing out?
Yes, Cody, as you've alluded to, Chris Alford, driver of Dancing with Sierra, was questioned regarding his tactics, and in particular his challenge for the lead off Rockstar Angel. During the middle stages, Mr. Alford explained that when initially improving 3 wide down the back straight on the first occasion, he was quite content to improve to the position outside the leader and settle in that position. However, he considered that the tempo of the race slowed noticeably, and he had a brief challenge for the lead for approximately 100 metres before relenting from that challenge when it was evident Rockstar Angel was going to maintain the lead. It did result in Dancing with Sierra then over racing in the position outside the leader, as also you've alluded to. Who Are You, Mr. Lance Justice's drive, then shifted out into a 3 wide position into the front straight to receive the bell. It didn't appear that Mr. Justice was content to improve 3 wide at that time. However, the horse shifted out and he was committed to improve as Aaron Dunn, driver of Nicky Badwagon, obtained his position in the running line, and approaching the winning post inside the final lap, it was evident that a combination of Dancing with Sierra over racing, despite the efforts of driver Chris Alford and Who Are You hanging in at that time, did result in Who Are You taking some distance to fully improve around that runner.
For sure, and we see Chris Alford very clearly trying to bring Dancing with Sierra back, slow it down a bit. Clearly the horse was very fired up at this point with about a lap to go. And consequently Dancing with Sierra has been beaten 32 metres. Did Chris explain after the race why the horse might have been beaten so far?
Mr. Alford considered the extent to which Dancing with Sierra over-raced during that section may have resulted in the horse choking down and then giving ground, which would explain the horse finishing in the position that it did. For sure, so Nicky Badwagon went on to win the race. So that was the 3-year-old. The next race that we're going to look at, there was a query I note that was put in regarding the improved performance of Classy Western for Alan McDonough, who won the Cougar Bourbon Pace, Nick, at big odds, and knocked a few punters out of the quaddie, but made a few other punters' nights, no doubt. What did Alan say about Classy Western's improved performance? And we'll roll the footage as you're explaining that. Yes, so Stewart sought an explanation of Alan McDonough, trainer-driver of Classy Western, in relation to the seemingly improved performance of that horse, and in particular in relation to its performance 2 starts prior at Kilmore on the 6th of May 2016, where the horse gave ground to finish in 5th of 7 horses beaten approximately 20 metres. Mr. McDonough explained that regardless of that run, the horse had been performing reasonably well in free-for-all races at Tabcorp Park, Melton. Mr. McDonough explained that he increased the workload of the horse since the Kilmore start, and also had tests conducted on Classy Western which failed to reveal any issues after that disappointing performance. And obviously in this race, Classy Western was able to obtain a favourable run into the race 3 wide with cover on the back of Let's Elope, which ultimately finished in 2nd placing, and it was quite tempo related. that Classy Western was able to perform in the manner in which it did.
For sure, and good form followers. Just to cross another video weekly show that we do, would have been thrilled because Jason Bonington had that in the quaddie. He just didn't have Nicky Badwagon, I don't think, in the last, but he did find Classy Western at big odds there. And just the final item before we go, Nick, any update on Anthony Butt, who of course we discussed last week? He received the suspension.
Yes.
Any update?
Mr. Butt actually appealed the penalty in relation to the suspension imposed by stewards. Out of the 4 and 5 year old championship of the 3-week suspension, that appeal was heard yesterday being Monday, and Mr. Butt had that penalty reduced to a 2-week suspension. This Harness Race Victoria Racing Appeals and Disciplinary Board saw fit to reduce that suspension by a week.
Sure, so 3 weeks back to 2 for Anthony Butt. Nick, thanks very much for your time. Remember, ask the stewards at hrv.org.au, and this video will be uploaded every Tuesday, so we encourage your questions. Nick, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Cody.